high school, my junior varsity football team was watching the varsity football team play on a Friday night home game. Then randomly, one of the white kids from my team started to hackle a black kid that was also on my team. He said racial slurs like "feed the monkey" while throwing popcorn at him. No one said anything, so I also chose to stay quiet. Eventually, the black kid stood up for himself. This led to a fight between the two. This is a clear example of social inequality because if the football player being heckled was not black, the whole situation could have been avoided. This can all be tied back to race. Race is a socially created concept that shows people as different from each other with the use of biologically inherited physical qualities. The difference made the white kid feel like what he was doing was acceptable. He saw a real difference between the two, pretending like he was almost better than the black kid. Along with the concept of race, the concept of minority groups was also in play. A minority group is a group that does not fit in with the masses due to some characteristics and leads to them having less power and facing more discrimination. In this case, the differentiating characteristic was color. At the football game, a majority of the crowd was white, especially in our section, which was full of students from my predominantly white school. Being one of the few black kids in the stands, it made him less likely to stand up against the racial comments because he felt like he had less power in the situation. Also, being in the minority group, he had to face discrimination for being different from most of the people there. If I could go back, I would have done something to help my fellow teammate out. This type of social inequality is normalized through the use of the colorblind ideology. This ideology states that everyone should pretend that we are colorblind when incidences of race are involved. This ideology makes it so that people around the two kids who were watching them ignored the fact that what was being said was racist. It almost makes it seem like they were just joking with each other and racial slurs were not being said. With the use of this ideology, through the concept of subjugation being active, subjugation is when one group becomes a subordinate of another group. In this situation, the black kid was subjugated to racism and had to just stand there and listen like it was not being said. Subjugation was not the only concept active here because when most people in society walk around pretending not to see color, it lets people who show discrimination get away with it. Discrimination is a differential treatment of or harmful actions against minorities. The white kid in this scenario shows discrimination by throwing popcorn at someone for just being black. Thinking back on this, I have felt bad for my lack of action on multiple occasions. I was one of the many people at this football game who just sat around and did nothing. Even though the concept of agency says that we all have the free will to do what we want, I believe in the situation structure, the ideology that we do what society forces us to do won. Since no one around me said anything, I felt socially pressured to also stay quiet and just watch. That being the case, there were multiple other things I could have done. I could have asked my teammate who was being bullied if he wanted to go to the concession stand with me to get him out of the situation. This small gesture could have made a big difference, but instead I felt the pressure to just stand around and say nothing.